and tell you that this is a bad van, I would be absolutely lying. You don't get to sell 47,000 of these things nationwide, 2,200 right here in your backyard by having a bad product. They certainly have a good product. What I want to talk about is what makes the Ram ProMaster the best Class 2 van in the segment. So we're going to start right in the front. Bumpers. Weird thing to talk about, but let's remember, it's not always the purchaser that's the driver of these vans. A lot of times, we have a company owner or a purchasing agent that's making the decision. Let's think about those inexperienced drivers. They might run into something. Somebody might run into them, right? So, we take one piece of that bumper and we replace it. We got a one-piece bumper in the Ford, that's a different situation. The other thing is both these vans have gigundous windshields, okay? Now, I'm from upstate New York. We measure our feet in snow up there. It's pretty wild. So we always have to wipe off our windshields. I'm sure you guys have many reasons to do so here. Right here is made to do so. Wipe your windshield. You got a step built right into your bumper in order to do that. You do not have that with the Ford. Now, let's talk a little bit about what's under the hood. Best in class standard horsepower. So, in the Ram ProMaster, you got 280 horsepower and 260 pound-feet of torque. That is best in class. Now in the Ford, let's be realistic. We know they have other engine options. For $1,300 or thereabout, you can get in their EcoBoost engine. For about $4 grand, you can get into their diesel engine. Now you can buy an awful lot of fuel in the fully capable 3.6 liter Pentastar for that difference in cost. So, when we're thinking about that, I also think about one thing. If I'm talking to a van customer about that, I know that you guys are selling customers in this Pentastar, you're getting good feedback about how that engine performs. We don't talk a lot about horsepower in vans. You never hear guys knocking back beers at a bar say, I can't believe how many ponies are under the hood of my van. You hear about that in sports cars, right? It's all about capability. So, one other thing to keep in mind when we're talking total cost of ownership is you have a 10,000 mile oil change interval on the Ram ProMaster. Then going inside, who here has used a phone today? Cell phone. Who here owns a cell phone? Who here has used Bluetooth within the last week? Okay, almost everybody. Standard Bluetooth and touchscreen radio in the Ram ProMaster, coming alongside that standard rear view backup camera that started in 2018. So the Ford Transit also has a standard rear view backup camera, but if you guys get a chance, hop in, take a look at that radio, okay? It's not a touchscreen, and the standard radio in the Ford does not have Bluetooth. So that's a big, big difference maker. When it comes to the seats, this one's a little subjective, right? But I'm hearing feedback from all the people I talked to before doing this competitive comparison that a lot of their buyers really prefer the feel of that Ram ProMaster seat. So get in there, get the feel, figure out what you like, what you don't like, but it's certainly something that that we like. And because of the cab forward design on the ProMaster, we believe it provides a lot better visibility. So get in there, look, get the feel. If you guys don't have the chance all the time to jump in a Ford, jump in this van right here, sit in the seat, see how it feels, because I can guarantee you that a lot of your customers and your prospects are doing that. So have that advantage, have that, hey, I did the same thing myself, here's what I liked, here's what I didn't like, right? While we're on the subject of competitive comparison, certainly I would like to say that we are number one in every single category. Unfortunately, that is not true. It was brought up in today's meeting, talking a little bit about towing, okay? Now I just drove from Syracuse, New York, down to here, and I defied Tim's odds. I saw what? It looked like a conversion van. It was towing a trailer that, if I had to guess, was somewhere between 3,000 and 4,000 pounds. So something that our van is capable of. Something we need to be speaking to our customers about is, and especially I heard somebody talk about Nissan earlier, right? How often are you towing that ditch witch, right? That's very important. Because if you're towing it every single day, okay, now that's a little bit deeper of a conversation. If you're towing that thing once a week or once a month, now let's talk about the mileage difference that we're hearing reported back between a ProMaster and a Nissan, okay? You might be able to rent a truck one day a month or one day a week to tow. Do you have another truck that can tow it in your fleet? Let's be having those deeper, those more intense conversations with our customers. What's really going to benefit them? Okay, I've started. I've talked a lot about different features. One thing I haven't talked about yet. You guys all know what it is. What's the one huge differential between a ProMaster and a Transit? Front wheel drive. Okay, where I'm from, like I said, tons and tons of snow. You say front wheel drive, everybody's like, I'm in. Absolutely. I used to sell for another manufacturer. I remember pushing a lot of rear wheel drive cars that have little horses on the side around the lot during the winter time to try to move them, with many of my friends helping, covered in snow, all sorts of fun, right? But it's not enough to just say to your customer, we're a front wheel drive van. What we have to do is tell the story about front wheel drive, because realistically, I know, and I jumped on the internet to look at what some people are saying back and forth. Some customers out there say, a front wheel drive van, are you kidding me? That's not going to get the job done. The truth is that it is. And here's a couple of reasons why. Number one, people coming into the workforce now, many of them have never ever even driven a rear wheel drive vehicle. So the first time that they're going to drive a rear wheel drive vehicle, hey Johnny, toss them the keys, have 8 hours of fun out there with my, $30,000+ van with $50,000 of my equipment in there. Does that seem like a sensible idea? I'm not sure. These things are really made for everyone to drive. That's just one thing. Number two, the way this vehicle is designed is that anything loaded in our van from the rear axle forward is all designed to put more weight down on the front wheels. Also, of course, you have the weight of the engine down on the front wheels. This is going to give you more traction. Now, I know it doesn't snow as much here as it does where I live, but I know that it does snow. So do you want to be the person who's out there operating during those days when everything else is shut down, making more money, the one who could answer the call? Or do you want to be the person who's not doing that simply because of front wheel versus rear wheel drive? Now, another addition to that, and I think you guys have probably all seen this and talked about it, is our 21-inch step-in height. Why can we get that? Because we don't have that drive shaft and live rear axle. That's a big difference maker for a couple of reasons. Number one, we can drop our load floor, okay? Lower step-in height, 21 inches, just so you guys are aware, depending on your Transit configuration, you're 28+ inches. So you have about a 7-inch difference. That's a big difference when you're going in and out of a van 40, 50 times a day as a delivery guy. That's a big difference when you got to jump out of the back of your van, 4 or 5 times a day you're using your van as a workshop, right? The other thing is we're reducing the overall weight of our vehicle. That's why we can get such great payloads, right? Because if you look underneath this Ford Transit, you're going to see the drive shaft. You're going to see that rear knuckle, that big pumpkin in the back. We got about 1,000 pounds of weight underneath this van that we don't have to have. Guess what? Another thing we all know since we work in and around dealerships is that things break on vehicles. So basically, in that Ford, you can blow out a rear end. Look at the rear end of this thing. Unless you snap that axle in half, there's nothing to blow out, right? There's a lot of money. Think about your customers who have driven spinners in the past and have had any rear end issues. They're used to cutting checks for those $4,000 bills. Okay? See, the other thing is that as you can see here on the Ford, you have 2 steps to get in. So that's just one extra step. It also takes up some additional square footage that you have right here. So just by having to add a step. Okay? Now, let's talk a little bit about roof heights. Ford has 3. We have 2. I think 2 more usable roof heights is better than their 3 all day long. So I need a volunteer who is over 6 foot. Somebody raise their hand. Sir, would you mind just jumping into this Ford Transit for me for a second? Well, yeah, you don't have to jump. All right. Now, keep walking that way. So, one thing you'll notice is that you can really see it on the low roof Ford. You can see it a little bit here. is that the roof slants down and backwards. You're losing height as you go back, right? So now you have somebody who's 6'2", cannot stand up in the van. Our high roof is 6'4", theirs is 6 feet, okay? Low roof, so your average guy is about 5'9½". I looked that up on Google. Now I can't fully stand up in this van, but I can tell you from years in my father's construction van, that's a lot better than crawling around in the back of an E-Series. Now one thing, kind of an aside to always remember, is that not every customer is comparing this van to this van. A lot of customers are comparing that old beat up van that they've been crawling in and out of for years and years to this van, okay? So let's not forget to sell the fact that you can put a pallet through the side and rear doors of our van. Let's not forget to sell the fact that you don't have to, go crawling to the front to get that tool that you may have forgotten, okay? All right, now, low roof. The Ford low roof is 4'9". Okay, so what that is the same as that old E-Series van. That's by design, of course. A lot of E-Series customers coming in and out, but I don't know, I'm sure you guys have seen the look on somebody's face when they're driving that sort of van and they step into the back of a low or a high roof ProMaster. It's like the look of relief, right? I can't believe this. I mean, these guys have literally crawled into their vans day after day. I remember this because I grew up, like I said, my father owned a small construction company. Crawling in and out of the vans, he's handing me tools, it's a nightmare. So, like I said, we're at 5'5" and 6'4". They do have a super high roof option. It's over $4,000 to go from their low to their super high roof. They're a little bit more than us to go even from their low to their medium roof. Somewhere around $1,300, we're somewhere around $800, okay? So that super high roof is about 6'9½". That difference between 6'4" to the 6'9½", what's happening that high in the air or not, I'm not 100% sure. I know I wouldn't feel comfortable with something super heavy that high up. I'm sure, if we got some feedback from some of your customers, by the way, they're not selling a ton of these super high roof vans. We got some feedback from your customers that 6'5" or 6'4" is absolutely enough. Is that what you guys are hearing? That our high roof is fully capable. Now the other thing about our roof is the roof line itself, okay? So if you get in the back of this bad boy, you can see how it curves in more than ours. We have straighter side walls. What does that mean ultimately to your customer? Sure, it's very easy to say, yeah, that means straighter walls, easier to upfit. That's an easy one-liner. In all reality, what our fleet team, when they're selling some of these massive entities, is seeing is an 8-inch difference in the center walkway if you have shelving on both sides. That's a huge difference somewhere where you're expected to get in, turn around, know where everything is all day, every single day, right? So that's something you can real world take back to your customers. Flat shelf against flat wall equals less loss of space. Fairly simple, right guys? So overall, the idea here is just to get you guys as absolutely knowledgeable as possible, knowing those little things, knowing that, hey, I don't know if you guys have ever left anything in the back of the van and then hit the brakes hard. Has anybody ever done that? Okay, I've done it plenty of times. If you leave something sharp or something round or a can in the back of this guy, you hit the brakes, it could shoot up into the middle and underneath your feet. Because we have this ledge that separates the back from the front, another advantage of front wheel drive, you're not going to have those issues. So in order to get those little nuanced things, I encourage you guys to get in, climb in these vans, take a look. What do you see that's different? Take advantage of the time while we actually have a Ford Transit here. Use that knowledge, go out and get your piece of that local $4 million opportunity, $2 million of which is coming from this van.